Do you feel like you're stuck with a toxic person? Maybe all your efforts to break free have just been ineffective, and the past relationship that you've been in, the toxic person, it still seems to haunt your thoughts and your emotions. I want to talk to you today really quick just about the trauma bond, the piece that makes you feel crazy from being in a toxic relationship with a toxic person, and it feels like you love this person and you still want to go back to them even though you know logically it's a bad idea. You see, when we talk about the trauma bond, we typically narrow it down to a couple different things: hope, potential, and cognitive dissonance. Like trying to get this idea that you hope this person's going to change, you see the potential that this person has, and you want to facilitate that change or be a part of it, or you think that maybe this would happen, and it locks you into this addictive pattern, thinking that this person is going to change when in reality they're just stringing you along. Then there's a cognitive dissonance piece, and that's where you're holding two opposing thoughts at the same time. So what he says and also what he does. And you're not sure which do we actually believe, his words or his actions. All the times this will come together and produce this addictive cocktail that we typically call the trauma bond. Now, I want to talk to you about a couple misconceptions about the trauma bond. First off, the idea that time heals all wounds. You hear this a lot of times, different mantras in the healing communities, that just time will heal it. Unfortunately, we've noticed in trauma bonds, specifically working with narcissistic abuse, it doesn't always work that way. A lot of times we can see someone who is trauma bonded or is stuck with the obsessive thoughts and constantly thinking about this person years after they've been no contact and years after they've been separated, and it still continues to happen. Another piece is a lot of times people will tell you, well, just leave, just go no contact, just leave, just move away, just block, all these kind of things. And oftentimes it's well-intentioned advice from your friends, your family, people like that, but they don't actually get it. They don't actually understand the addictive cycle and pattern that you're dealing with and that you're struggling with. And what happens is you start to have this persistent desire to maintain contact with a toxic person, even though you know that it's harmful, even though you know that it's hurtful for you. Well, a couple things that I wanted to bring up. Time and distance alone are not enough. Like, no matter what, just going away from this person, moving across the country, it's not enough to actually break the trauma bond. And so, like, even though you might have physical distance, it might not actually break the actual bond that you're struggling with. You might feel drawn back to this person even though there's been a long period of separation. You might be still thinking, obsessing, ruminating over this person even though you're on the opposite end of the country. We've seen this happen where people have been separated for years and still have this obsessive piece where they still want to interact with this person. The other thing I wanted to bring up is that knowledge alone isn't enough. You can know everything about toxic people and narcissistic personality disorder, and it's still not enough to break you free. I know this from personal experience of talking to many psychologists, counselors, people that know this stuff. They know it, but in practicality, when you get stuck in it, it's a whole nother aspect. So just understanding narcissism still isn't enough to guarantee your freedom mentally and emotionally. And then you walk into dealing with rumination. Like the intrusive thoughts, the obsessive pattern that doesn't let you stop thinking about this other person. There's like a persistency of these thoughts, and the anxiety gets raised, and you're wondering, like, what about this person? Will they come back? What do I do? All these different things. And oftentimes you'll have this anxiety and not know how to actually cope in the situation. And then last but not least, a lot of times you'll be at a place where you'll feel like this hope and this possibility of, like, maybe this will be able to happen. Maybe this person will change, and you start to feel stuck. Sometimes you get stuck in your healing process and you're like, I don't even know if it's possible for me to heal. I don't know if it's possible for me to feel the way that I used to feel because he's had such an impact on me. Well, I want to invite you to actually step into the Escape Toxicity Challenge. It's a 7-day challenge for $7, just helping move you into the process of understanding narcissistic abuse, understanding reactive abuse, the guilt, the shame that you're feeling in this moment for being in a toxic relationship or staying for such a long period of time. The blame that you put on yourself and that has been impressed upon you from the toxic person over and over and over again. And I want to invite you to join the challenge and to start your healing process. So click on the link below and you can actually dive into that challenge right away. Because there is a possibility of you breaking free from the abuse that you've been in. I want you to sign up for the challenge and see that today. So click the link down below and you can sign up for the 7-day challenge, Escape Toxicity, to be free from toxic, narcissistic people right here, right now. Understand what it is so that you're empowered to actually move forward and to break free from the toxicity that controls you.